You've spent so much of your life going through the motions, trying to please everyone around you, doing what you thought was expected, but somewhere along the way you started feeling drained, overwhelmed, and frustrated. It's like you were constantly giving, but never receiving, and now you're wondering why you feel so empty inside, why you're running on empty, and maybe you've started to realize it. You've been neglecting yourself, your needs, your peace, because you've never really set healthy boundaries, boundaries that protect your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. But here's the truth, you can change all of that. You can start living on your own terms, and it all starts with learning how to set healthy boundaries, boundaries that will empower you to live a life that's aligned with your values, your goals, and your true self, because healthy boundaries aren't just a luxury, they're a necessity, and it's time for you to take back control of your life. The first step to setting healthy boundaries is understanding that boundaries are a form of self-care. They are not selfish, in fact, they are one of the most important things you can do for yourself. When you set healthy boundaries, you're telling yourself that you matter, that your time and energy are valuable, and that you deserve to live a life that honors your needs. Without feeling guilty or selfish, boundaries protect you from burnout. They protect your mental health, and they ensure that you can show up as the best version of yourself. When you put yourself first, you're not abandoning others. You're actually in a better position to help and support them, because you're giving from a place of strength, not depletion. So remember, setting boundaries isn't about saying no to people, it's about saying yes to yourself. But here's where a lot of people get stuck. They think that setting boundaries means being mean or harsh. But that's not the case at all. Setting healthy boundaries is about being clear, direct, and respectful. You don't have to be rude or aggressive. You simply need to communicate what you need in a calm and confident way. For example, if someone asks you to do something that you don't have the time or energy for, you can simply say, "I appreciate your request, but I'm unable to take that on right now," or "I have other priorities that I need to focus on." Setting boundaries is about being honest with yourself and others, and recognizing that your needs are just as important as everyone else's. Now, let's talk about why so many people struggle with setting boundaries. One of the biggest reasons is fear. Fear of disappointing others, fear of being judged, or fear of conflict. And it's easy to understand why. We've all been conditioned to believe that being kind means saying yes, that being helpful means putting others' needs before our own. But the truth is, constantly saying yes to others is actually harming both you and them, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're always giving and never taking the time to recharge, you'll eventually burn out. And when that happens, you won't be able to help anyone, not even yourself. And that's why it's so important to face your fears, to push past the discomfort, and to recognize that setting boundaries is not only necessary for your well-being, but it's also a form of respect for both yourself and the people around you. So how do you start setting healthy boundaries? The first step is to get clear on what your boundaries are. Take a moment to reflect on your needs, your values, and what's important to you. Ask yourself, what do I need in order to feel balanced, healthy, and fulfilled? Maybe you need time for yourself. Maybe you need to protect your energy from toxic people. Or maybe you need to stop overcommitting to things that don't align with your goals. Whatever it is, be honest with yourself about what you need. And remember that your boundaries are personal. They don't have to make sense to anyone else. They only need to make sense to you. And once you have clarity on what your boundaries are, it becomes easier to communicate them. The next step is to communicate your boundaries clearly and confidently. Remember, setting healthy boundaries is not about being confrontational. It's about being direct and respectful. You can say things like, "I need some time alone to recharge," or "I'm not available for that right now," or "I'm not comfortable with that." The key is to be firm but kind, and to recognize that you have the right to say no without feeling guilty. When you communicate your boundaries clearly, you eliminate the guesswork for others, and you teach them how to treat you. Because the truth is, people will respect your boundaries when you respect yourself enough to enforce them. And when they see that you are consistent, they will learn to understand that your boundaries are non-negotiable. But what about when someone pushes your boundaries? What do you do then? First, you need to understand that when you set a boundary, you may face resistance, especially from people who are used to you saying yes all the time. But that doesn't mean you should back down. If someone doesn't respect your boundary, it's not your job to make them understand. It's your job to enforce your boundary, and that might mean repeating yourself calmly and firmly, without apologizing. If someone continues to push, you may need to distance yourself from that person or situation. And that's okay, because your peace and well-being come first. And if someone can't respect your boundaries, they don't have a place in your life. And that's a hard truth, but it's an empowering one. One of the most powerful things about setting healthy boundaries is that it allows you to prioritize your own well-being. And when you prioritize yourself, you become more aligned with your true self. You become more focused, more confident, and more empowered. You start making decisions based on what's best for you, not based on what others expect or what's convenient for them. And that's when your life begins to shift, when you start honoring your boundaries, you start honoring yourself. And that's when everything starts to fall into place, because when you take care of yourself, you're in a better position to show up for others, to be the best version of yourself, and to live a life that's true to you. As you continue to set healthy boundaries, you'll notice that the more you practice, the easier it becomes, and eventually it will feel natural. You'll stop feeling guilty for saying no. You'll stop feeling afraid of disappointing others, and you'll start to feel more in control of your life, more at peace and more aligned with who you are. Setting boundaries is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes, and once you've established your boundaries, you'll notice that your relationships become healthier, your time becomes more intentional, and your life becomes more fulfilling, because when you respect yourself enough to set boundaries, you teach others to do the same, and that's how you create the life you've always wanted. Now that you understand the importance of setting healthy boundaries, it's time to take action. It's time to start implementing these boundaries in your life, one step at a time, and remember, you're worthy of respect, your time is valuable, and your needs matter. So go ahead, start setting those boundaries and watch your life transform. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, because you will learn a ton of information in the next video.